When you've got a great ball club. Sports. When you're leaving it all on the field. Sports. When you like your team's chances. Sports. To survive and advance in sports. For the teams you love and the teams you love to hate. Oh, it's Sports Channel 8. Yeah. Sports Channel 8.
All right, that's enough of the theme song. It's the best theme song ever. But right now, it's March Madness. We are talking basketball. We are live with Brian Geisinger of ACCSports.com and the ACC Sports Journal. And Josh, UNC hater. Shout out to Stephanie. Your heels won. What's going on, Stephanie? Congratulations. That was a game. Do you guys want me to read my UNC friend text threads?
Yes.
I mean, it was something. It was. I mean, the highs and at one point the announcer said that like there've been highs and lows this season, and they've experienced all of them. There was even after the first half, the texts I was getting were like, "Man, everything you could ask for and a half, but like still, it's coming. Baylor's gonna, and just it was absolutely crazy." Yeah, got first reactions, Brian Geisinger.
Yeah. Well, first off, welcome to the manic room. Where we're different. welcome to the manic room.
Let me start here, Brian. Do you think the refs were eager to throw him out after the Buddy Boeheim? I think this is Buddy Boeheim's fault. They're like, we got to throw him out now. So we don't have to suspend him later.
Look,
Buddy Boeheim's fault.
We can't have like he's also like evolutionary Buddy Boeheim because he's got all the hair going. So it's more wild. So you gotta like take control of that quickly and early on. This was a crazy game. I don't know, man. It felt like 3 or 4 different games inside of one game,
Agreed.
And
I'm removing Josh Goodson until he stops doing the Weekend impression from the Super Bowl.
Where was he?
What are you doing? You're in your own house.
I was watching Goodson walk around the house, and I feel like I was seeing him walk past the same thing over.
What are you doing, Goodson? Find a spot. Sit down.
Anyways.
You're exactly right. It felt like multiple games within one.
It felt like a lot of different games, happening again, all within the span of just 45 minutes. Obviously, this game, the key hinge point was Brady Manick fouling out. I mean, UNC's up 25 points in the second half. Were they even in the bonus at that point in time? I think
Here's the weird. I watched the foul count. It was 8-1. Baylor had 8. UNC had 1. Like 5 minutes into the second half, and I promise you, I almost tweeted or said something like, "With a 25-point lead, UNC does not want this because Baylor's going to come back flying in, pressing, and the onus is going to be on the refs to not call fouls while Baylor's trying to scrap." And I don't think there were a lot of those actually. UNC just melted down. I don't think Baylor got away with a lot of like scrapping fouls, right?
Yeah, I thought there was some like clutching and grabbing. You could say that on probably every possession in a game. It just felt more like it was happening more frequently just because, Baylor was really ratcheting up the pressure and UNC was starting to melt down. I really do think, though, like this all season long, we've been saying UNC offense first team, top 20 offense in the country. And like the nexus of that offense is Armando Bacot, Brady Manick, and how those guys play off one another in high-low, this inside-out combination. And all of a sudden, you take one of those guys off the court, and like the playbook shrinks, the post looks for Bacot are, maybe not as spacey. Taylor was ratcheting up.
Goodson's getting bounced again. He said he was good back, and now he's like pouring beers and dropping his foot.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this as a basketball strategist, because I think this comes up sometimes. Yeah. So like, this happens in football too. When you're like playing with a lead, it's like, how do you play with it? Do you look at time and score and try and do the like, actually, we're at a point now where I don't think that they can make it up? Or you're like, no, we're up 25. Keep doing what got us up 25. And I think that's the math was almost to the point of like, you know what? Up 25, just get it across half court and even take like shot clock violations, and you're okay because the points are so much that they can only score so many points in that much time. And
no live ball turnovers basically, and certainly there were plenty of those that helped swing things in Baylor's favor. But it's like, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that like it is harder for UNC to come up and just like run its up when Brady Manick isn't involved, because it's just like all of a sudden he is this spacing, this screening component, this passing component of UNC's offense that they go without. But I guess we should just real quickly, UNC wins in overtime, 93-86. They avoid what would have been a tie for the largest loss in NCAA tournament history. RJ Davis leads. He was awesome today. 30 points, 6 assists. 5 boards. He had 5 threes in this game. I think 3 of those were within the first 90 seconds of the game. And yeah, Brady Manick, only played but so much of this game before he was ejected. But 26 points, 4 3-pointers, 8 of 13 from the field. And yeah, they really fought off the fact that this was like not a very good Caleb Love game. Just 1 of 6 shooting, 6 turnovers before he fouled out. Caleb Love had 5 points, 5 fouls, and 5 missed shots and 6 turnovers in this game. Not a great Caleb Love game. And Armando Bacot, certainly not the normal efficiency we're used to with him. 4 of 10 shooting, 7 of 15 from the line, missed some big free throws, but then made some clutch ones down the stretch. 15 points, a couple 4 offensive rebounds, but had a couple big ones down the stretch as Baylor was like really switching heavily. And, he certainly ended up with some, smaller guys on him in the post. And I don't know. I thought Bacot made just enough plays really on the glass and at the free throw line, like just enough. You know what I mean?
There were a lot of big boards, especially defensively in overtime. That Bacot, and he's done this a couple times with people, and Caleb, it's like it's okay if you got one Caleb Love head case type play, but Bacot does it too, where like, he lets himself get into these one-on-one matchups with a person that then start to become nothing to do with basketball. And they try to like one-up each other, and it results in charges and loose ball fouls and just being tangled up. And it's like, how do you not be smart enough to realize you're playing with 5 people on the court? Like, you got to be extra careful. Goodson, I'll let you in if you do not walk anywhere else. You have to stay in the same place.
Yeah. I'm sitting down now.
Oh my god!
No, it's y'all don't care, but my phone, listening into my phone and the sound coming out of this for this app, I couldn't hear you, so I had to go find my headphones.
Gotcha.
And I forgot where they were. So sorry. Everything y'all said is great, and I'm actually mad at myself because I was pulling for UNC this entire game. I have a future. I have a 100-1 ticket for UNC to win the national championship. I think I took it after they beat Duke, because like that was the game where we were like, we know that they played their best game of the year. We hadn't seen it before, but Duke played well that game too, minus the last 3 minutes of the game for the most part. And so I was like, they can do it. And I was pulling because I wanted to pull against the UNC fans who were doing the same bullshit they've been doing the whole time of, see, knew we blew it because we just weren't that good all year. I knew this might happen. Like, go away. You're UNC. You're North Carolina. You're UNC basketball. You can never play the underdog card. I never want to hear it. You're never going to be David. Stop.
All right.
Stop.
2 questions, though. One for BG. Are any of UNC's starters, or basically of the 5 guys?
And I know what you're asking, and I have a counter to it already, but go ahead and ask.
Of the 5 guys who actually play for UNC, is there are there first round draft picks among, like, are Bacot and Lowe?
No, I don't think there's a first round pick, but I think like Bacot is like draftable in the 2nd round.
That's what I thought.
And I think all of those. Well, RJ Davis, like, talk to me like another year on RJ Davis. You know what I mean? Like if he comes back to UNC and all of a sudden is like can like be like a pull up 3-point shooter, then like we gotta like have another conversation, because he's already a very good player. But I think all of those starters have the chance of playing in the NBA, right? But I think Bacot, and I would only have him, probably somewhere in the top 50 or 60. So I think Bacot will end up on an NBA roster next year.
All right, and then Goodson, my second question is, I totally agree with your point of like no UNC fan could be like, woe is us. Oh, we have this underdog, scrappy crew of walk-ons that like totally fair there. But heading into overtime, Where you
Right. Yeah, but this was,
this
was even before. No, this was even before. This is when they were building the lead. They were like, I just can't believe this is happening. I never saw this coming. It's like, shut up. You have 4 and 5 stars all over the court. You have 2 guys that Manic and Baycott. Like we talk about this in the tournament. Who wins? Like usually either have NBA prospects out the yin yang or experienced dudes. Like but Brady Manic's 35 years old. Like
real quickly, I should say I would not draft Caleb Love, but like maybe some people see him as draftable. I just don't see at all how what he does is scalable. Although I get the pull up shot. He was straight bad today.
You can see this coming a mile away. You can see it coming a mile away. Vegas, there's 3 1-8 games today. There was 3 games where they won in an 8 or a 1 in a 9, whatever. Yeah. Both of the other 2 games were double-digit spreads. UNC's was only 5. Yeah. This is not a David Goliath. This is like, can't believe it happened. And this is actually the people are talking about 2000 UNC. That was surprising. Like them beating a 1 seed potentially back then was a little surprising.
By the way, a 1 seed that's missing 2 of its top players.
Sure.
Like no LJ Cryer, no everyday John for Baylor. So like that's definitely part of it. I really do think too, like not only are like Baycott and Manic like good offensive players, I was just saying this, and I've said this all season. They complement one another so well. Like Hubert Davis could not have gone out into the transfer portal and found a better front court guy to complement his best returning player, Armando because it wasn't available. Maybe, Jake LaRavia, Alonnis Williams, these guys would have been great too, but like Manic's shooting and passing were great. I was a little surprised to start overtime that Baylor came back with Flo Thamba. They roared back into this game by going small, and they've done this all year. They play Jeremy Sohan, who's like is a lottery talent in my opinion. Is I think the best sort of like big wing defender in the 2022 draft class. And they were trapping and switching, and that was putting them in some unfavorable matchups, but it was also creating a lot of turnovers and creating the pressure that got them back into this game. So I was a little surprised they came back with Thamba. But yeah, he fouled out pretty quickly after that too.
Can we talk about the refs?
Sure. Yeah.
Because UNC fans, once again, getting the short end of the stick. What do you want to talk about?
No.
What's funny is seemingly everyone – I have friends texting me be like, I've never been all in for UNC before. Like, I hate UNC, but they're getting jobbed. The funny thing is it's a rare situation where people kind of agree that the refs are going against Carolina, and even Carolina fans were not handling it great. But what were you going to say?
No, I exactly what you were getting at. Like, it was a collective of the full court press, right? Changed the game, and like UNC wasn't able. So like, not only was UNC starting to not play well, and they got frantic. The one play that stuck out to me, I think it may have been Baycott his 4th foul, which would have been the charge that they called. Yeah. And charges suck. I hate charges to begin with, but it was a charge. What was funny was he was dribbling up the court for a long time before it happened, and Sohan is literally like riding him with an elbow, not extended, not pushing him, but is literally touching him with his elbow in his side the entire time all the way down. And I saw that sequence. I was like, why are we not calling that? Yeah, that's the stuff that I get. I mean, the charges
they back themselves into a corner again. They let UNC get up 8-1 on foul calls. We're like,
and I heard you earlier. It was 6 minutes into the second half when UNC went into bonus. As state fans, we keep up with such things.
And so like at least 3 or 4 of those that like, if you're at a clinic and a ref is saying, is that a ref or is that a foul or not a foul? You'd be like, yeah, maybe that's a foul. But just it became about the way you were calling the game. It was like, hey, if Baylor's already been called for 4 fouls, maybe you let 1 or 2 of these go, right? But by getting to 8, then you knew it was going to come roaring back. And I think there may have been something like 10 fouls in a row called. Like, yeah, Baylor had 8 and UNC had 1, and UNC got to 10 before Baylor got to 10. Like it was, and so it was just the refs got in.
Officiating does not affect sports, but so it's fine.
I didn't think there was not one charge you could point to by Baylor and say that was terrible. I mean, a charge against UNC called for Baylor, like Caleb Love, like Baycott, McCoy, even like they were kind of barreling into people when they certainly shouldn't have been. Like there's no one where I point to and like you screwed that one up. But when you look back and you're like, wait, we have 8 fouls called against UNC and 5 of them are offensive. You're like, wait, that's probably not good. So I think they just got in. The only call to me that really was egregious and became clear that the refs were trying to balance things out as opposed to just call it what it was when Love got called for the back court where the white
Meyer. Yeah. I mean, even
reached and rode his hip in a way like that should have been his 5th. And it would have been free throws, and instead it was a turn. That was the one that was like, that was egregiously bad. A lot of them weren't that bad. It just became collectively they got in over their head.
That one was really bad because they showed it, the replay that CBS or whatever the broadcast network was, that they showed it from like at a great angle where they were like perpendicular to it.
Yeah.
And like Caleb Love got knocked back, and literally because he was getting knocked back, like took like one more step, then he went in backcourt. It wasn't like his natural progression, just like led him backcourt. It was like, no, he got bumped. And when he was trying to like regather his balance, that was when he stepped on the backcourt line. Like it was like, yeah, I mean, again, I know the call you're talking about. That one was sort of
that was the only one to me that was like, guys, come on, like a quick 5-second call or whatever. It's like
I also think it's funny too, because like so in overtime, UNC's up 1. They have the ball. It's sort of like a semi-press break, semi-transition situation. RJ Davis has the basketball. He's driving. I think it was Adam Flagler. It could have been Akinjo or Bonner. They're guarding him. I think maybe it was Akinjo actually. But like Davis drives. There's a loose ball. And on the court, it gets called UNC basketball. And it was really tough to see in real time. Like I had no clue.
Right.
Now, it did look like on replay, when the broadcast showed the replay, it looked like, I mean, I only saw it, they only showed it once on replay.
Yeah.
You're talking
Like Davis hit it.
about the 2 minutes thing, aren't you?
2 minutes and 2 seconds left.
2 minutes and 2 seconds left. And like, I guess I'm just a little surprised that the under 2 minute review setup for college basketball doesn't it resets in overtime. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Especially when in theory, like overtime, like I don't know, the game is usually close and it's a big deal.
Yes.
Like every possession is a big deal.
You on the under 2 minutes, but 3 minutes left in overtime, you're not reviewing. No, that does seem like
is UNC going to make the Final Four?
No,
no. Stop.
You asking Brian Geisinger?
I'm asking collectively. So what's the path? The path now would be UCLA or St. Mary's, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Pretty good setup.
UCLA, St. Mary's. No, UCLA, St. Mary's would be their next game, right? And then I believe after that, it's the Murray State,
St. Peters.
It could be a rematch with potentially.
Yeah, they could face UCLA and then Purdue, and like that's just it's tough to win too.
But should they be the favorite? I guess maybe I'll rephrase it. You may not think they're going to make the Final Four, which is fine to say, right? Like any team, you could probably say that at this point. It's like it's hard to win basketball games.
Sure,
but do you think they're now the favorite? Based on what you've seen and their potential of who they play, and obviously they don't have to play the 2 seed Kentucky, who they've got crushed by earlier in the year. Should they be the favorite right now?
So okay,
go ahead, BG.
How do you feel about this? I'm on 5:30.
I'm going to walk. Hey, I'm going to walk. Don't turn me off. I promise you. I'm just walking one place.
All right. So right now, guys, I'm on 538, which is doing these probabilities are updating in real time. And as of right now, according to 538's metrics, UNC has a 4% chance of winning the title.
I was going to say I go a little bit higher than 4% of making the Final Four. But okay.
I think they have a 9% chance of making the title game. And they have a 28% chance of making the Final Four. Is if I'm reading this, they have a 53% chance of beating.
It's 28% probably because they've already won their second game, and like UCLA, Purdue, all those people still have to win.
Yeah, that's gonna level out here in a little bit, and we'll see. It's gonna depend on what it really. I mean, that Texas Purdue matchup is pretty big. That's a spicy meatball. That's looming at the bottom half of that bracket. It would be interesting to see if we got a UNC Purdue, like looking down the road.
Agreed.
We got UNC Purdue because, correct me if I'm wrong, Leaky Black didn't play the first time those two teams matched up this season. I think.
I don't know about that, but in good thing, I'll put you back in. You were moving, and then when I came to you, you had running water. So I can't do running water in my stream, so turn off the sink. But not only that, it's like the one time UNC lost to a really good team and didn't get blown out. Like they played that game pretty well.
It was super tight. It was really It was. I mean, right down. Purdue, got a little comfortable there. But even I was during this UNC-Baylor game, I was actually like when you were called the timeout with 15 seconds left to set up the play at the end of regulation. Which we can talk about that too. They went too slowly. There was no Manic. They went 1-5 pick and roll. Davis and Baycott.
Baycott almost got the offensive rebound. Now, that's why
he ran out of time. But they went they got the point guard switch onto Baycott, which is in theory a good thing, but it's it took too long to get to that part, and then it was also again, Jeremy Sohan is an elite wing defender. He switched out on RJ Davis. They were okay. You got the switch, but this is not the part of the switch that you want. You want the huge all-ACC big guy underneath the basket with the 6'1" guy on him, not the 6'1" with the 6'9" NBA small forward guarding him, 20 whatever feet from the basket.
Sure.
But while I was doing that, I was searching through my database that I have of stuff of plays saved on my computer, and I did find that Purdue UNC game definitely came down to the wire because I even found I was searching for end of game plays that Hubert's called this season. I have those tagged a certain way. And there was one from that Purdue game that I think was set up for a Caleb Love 3-point attempt. So yes, that game was close. And again, there's still a ways to go to see that we definitely get that, one way or the other. But
so it goes back to what I said. If you're not going to be a top 4 seed, 8 is not a terrible place to be.
Yeah.
Now you knocked off the 1. Somebody took care of your 2. And the 3 and 4 still got to take care of business to even get to where you are, right?
But more so, UNC has I said this before, and I'm living by it, which is why I took them to win a future. Their fastball, their best play, is as good enough to play with any team in the country, and there's probably only maybe 8 other teams that could even say that. I don't think Wisconsin's best played against UNC's best. I don't think Wisconsin wins that game.
No,
I don't think Wisconsin's best can play with Gonzaga's best. I think UNC's best can play with Gonzaga's best, and Kansas's best, and so on.
I think what you're describing is that
super high ceiling type deal, but yeah,
it's the offense though, because it's ultimately what it is that this team, the pieces fit offensively and they can be explosive. And they have a couple really good shooters. They've got a good connector in Leaky Black, who, by the way, I was just about to tweet out, man, Leaky Black having an underrated, 2A performance for UNC, and then he threw that one god-awful pass that, clanked off the backboard and was ooh, just gonna delete this, just not gonna send this one out, actually.
Just discard.
There were multiple that I'd like to poll UNC fans. That was one of the more, infuriating games to watch. You had to watch your team whittle away for a game you actually won. It was one of the worst games to ever watch as a UNC fan. You just had to sit there with a 25-point lead, hoping you could just get there. If you got to the 10-minute mark up 25, again, you're in take shot clock violations mode, and they can't score enough on the other side. Just keep taking 30 seconds. And instead, it was just infuriating things like that. Baycott missing free throws. Over and over, and Leaky Black throwing bad passes. Justin McCoy being on the floor in general. One of the best ones was, and shout out to McCoy. Dontre Styles actually looked like a guy who.
No, he was good today. He helped them when Styles was really solid for them. On the baseline,
where McCoy got the ball in the corner, and they're right now, the play-by-play guy was who's going to shoot for North Carolina right now? And I swear I thought, was it Steve Smith on color? I thought he was going to say.
Jim Jackson. Jim Jackson.
Yeah. I thought he was going to say, not this guy. Not everybody, the play-by-play guy was who's going to shoot for UNC? And collectively, every person watching the game was not this person. He took it, and it was hell.
It was one of those things where it's we've actually talked about this a couple of times on the show, Hayes, but it's it's wild to see how far Kerwin Walton has like fallen out of the rotation for UNC. Like just gone from literally 12 months ago, like I can't imagine what this team would look like offensively without this guy to like, wow, they'll play basically anybody in the rotation but Kerwin Walton. And like, I get it. The defense has not been good this year. A lot of breakdowns, but like they were so strapped for like offense. Just someone who could have the ball and be like, look, if you foul me, I might make a free throw or two.
Or even if you're pressuring me, I can confidently make a pass to someone else. And like McCoy, it was like 50-50, dude. They had him downing the ball where you're like saying that, yeah, exactly. Like Kerwin Walton would at least throw an easier to catch pass to the more wide open person than whatever's going on here.
The thing that one of the things, two things, and then I want to get to sort of like a larger thing that sort of gets to what Josh was saying about UNC's fastball. One, it was going to be nuts if UNC did lose this game and Brady Manick was – I know single game plus minus can be wonky as hell, but it was going to be hilarious if Brady Manick ended up with like a plus 25 in this game and UNC lost. Like that would have been just hilarious. So that's one thing. Two, I don't know if I've ever seen – I mean, look, people were going in on the refs, and rightfully so. They were – the second half was like an atrocity. But I don't know if I've ever seen like multiple media members call out and be like, look, this staff, they should not work another game. It was multiple people who did this. They said they should not work, national and local. They were like, they should not work another game for the rest of the tournament. Like being definitive in that, including one reporter who works for the network that has literally the broadcast rights for the event, which was like, whoa, this is interesting. Then the last thing I wanted to say was the first, 55, 60% of this game before Manick gets ejected when Tar Heels are just throttling Baylor. I mean, just a complete blowout. I thought when UNC defends like that and they kept the ball out of the middle and they were forcing Baylor into tough pull-up mid-range shots, the pick-and-roll defense looked good. Leaky Black was locking down everybody you threw him on. And like that team, when they defend like that, the offense is good enough that they can basically beat. Yeah, they can compete with anybody in the country. But it's going to be interesting to see if they get into.
I said that.
He's responding to you.
I know. I've heard. I'm listening the whole time.
Yeah,
I know.
Guy who wants to go live, but then is more worried about his breast milk than the actual.
Breast milk, you made my day.
Wow. We're wrapping soon. BG, give us some other basketball thoughts.
I don't want to watch basketball the rest of the day.
Same here. I want to go watch more hoops.
Yeah. We can wrap it up here then. But we'll just say we're curious to see like teams who, I mean, obviously Manick is important, but just like if UNC gets in another scenario where one of those guys gets in foul trouble, and just like what teams do to try to speed up UNC's guards, because Davis is really good. He's a really good decision maker. He's like a good caretaker of the basketball. But Love is a guy you can like speed up, and you can push him to some dumb turnovers, and he'll run guys over on charges. So just curious to see like they put some stuff on tape in that game today that like I think was self-evident already, but probably reaffirmed like. They looked awesome the first 25 minutes, but there were also some things you saw after that would make you maybe a little squeamish if you're a UNC fan.
Love and Baycott both. I mentioned this here. I'd love to play against them and pick up ball because they're better than I am, but I know mentally like I could get them unfocused on what their number one job is. When they're only doing their number one job, they are two great players. Not even like really good, great. But they're Love very easy. Baycott easier than he should be as a junior to distract from what's important. And Cisco for Baylor or Demolition Man, whatever you want to call that. That guy may be good. But man, that guy was annoying.
He's really good.
But he did his job. They were deeper. And yes, to your point, Swain tweeted this earlier, like if you scouted UNC, you're pressing next game. And also, I love, normally you go in like, let's try and get blank in foul trouble. For UNC, when you're playing UNC, it's like, let's try and get somebody in foul trouble. You're like, well, who? Which one? Like, any of them. Just anyone the first time. If we disrupt it, I mean, preferably not Leaky Black, but even still, I feel like if they're playing Puff Johnson more than Leaky Black, that's going to screw them up. You take one of their guards or Manick or Baycott off the court for an extended time, and, like, they're in big trouble. So, like,
again,
foul trouble for UNC.
it's Manic that really opens up the offense. But you're right. Like it's Davis's ball handling and decision making, and Baycott is like the one guy that can pressure the rim. That you can run a pick and roll. He can dive, and it's going to force the opponents to rotate. Or if they switch, he can post up or get on the offensive glass. And like so, yeah. Again, those three guys are the most important in my book. But like, yeah, obviously Love and Leaky Black are.
ACC 5-1 now, is that right?
I think 6-1, dude.
6-1? No, yeah,
I think Notre Dame has won. Notre Dame's won. Notre Dame and UNC have won twice.
Yep.
Virginia Tech is the only team that's lost. So I think 6-1 ACC. Come
Down
get some.
here.
Come get some.
Do not let us put 4 teams in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, come on.
Mountain West, SEC. If we have 4 teams in the Sweet 16 this year.
Dude.
I know in the early 90s, you bet on it. You bet on 2 ACC teams in the Final Four and 4 in the Sweet 16. If it happens this year, when everybody said it was down, we're coming for you. We're going to be pounding chest.
And, dude, I mean, last night in the Friday night session, I mean, you want to talk about Illinois and Wisconsin from the Big Ten, like
And Michigan State.
Just getting by. Like, Illinois, yeah, exactly. Yeah, great call, too.
Davidson got screwed some calls late, man.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they were more fun. They would have been a more fun team to watch in the second round than Michigan State. God, they were cool.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean that's probably the most like aesthetically pleasing offense in the country in Davidson. And yeah, I mean Illinois led that game as a 3 or 4 seed. They led for 20 seconds of the game. And Wisconsin is another one of just like I mean their defense really amped up, but like down the stretch. But man, I mean, if one of those teams loses from the Big Ten, or if 2 of those 3 lose last night, when the ACC gets a couple into the Sweet 16, it's like, all right, Ken Palm, we gotta talk about the metrics here a little bit.
ACC gets 4 automatic qualifiers in the future from now on. If you finish top 4 in the ACC, you're in. Jerry Palm, GTFO. I don't want to hear about it. You're top 4 in the ACC. You're in the tournament because you're likely in the round of 32.
That's right.
All right, we're going to go back and watch some more games. Brian Geis here, ACC Sports, ACCSports.com. Check out his work. He'll be writing recaps there. Keep following us here at Sports Channel 8. Enjoy the rest of the tournament. Heels win. Go ACC. Peace.